All right,
Okay, so some of you might know me. My name is Sue Woods, and I work at Lincoln College. I used to work at a couple other places before. I've been at your school several times, and I'm here to talk to you about the college process and the college search and all that good stuff. So now I know what year you're a senior. I know that. What year are the rest? You're a senior, right?
I'm a junior.
You're a junior.
senior.
You're a senior.
Senior.
You're a senior.
Senior.
Okay. So have you all? How many of you guys have plans? Do you know what you're going to be doing? You know, I'll start here. What are you going to do next?
I'm gonna be a nurse.
You want to be a nurse? Okay. Have you started applying to schools? How many schools have you applied to so far? One. Okay. Where's that?
In Massachusetts.
That's one.
Big Pat.
Bay Path. Okay, that's the same town I live in. Yeah, we're gonna go to Bay Path. And you said you're going to go to the military, the army, right?
Yeah.
And then you're going to go into criminal justice, right?
Yeah.
And then you're going to look at Lincoln College, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
The Navy.
The Navy, okay.
Okay,
And what are you gonna
okay.
do after the Navy? Are you already enlisted?
Yeah.
Okay. What are you gonna do after enlisted?
I think I'm just gonna do my schooling while I'm on the ship.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just gonna major in psychology.
In psychology? What do you wanna do with psychology?
Become a psychologist
Okay.
for like schools and stuff.
Mm-hmm. So what is it that you wanna do?
I want to be interior designer
Okay. Now, why interior design?
because
Good idea.
I like to regulate things, and like interior designer, you get to design everything that's going on in the room and stuff. So it's like I would like
Do
to,
you like to go like all the home goods stores? Is that like your passion?
and like to make it look pretty and match and stuff.
Like,
UTI.
okay, what are you gonna do at UTI?
I don't know. Just work on cars.
So you wanna work on cars? Okay.
Been doing it for a while, so might as well.
Okay.
Take it as a major.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, I think a trade is a really good, college isn't meant for everybody. I know we're here to talk about the college process, but I think a trade is a good option for some people because some people are good working with your hands and you can make a wonderful career out of that.
And it saves a lot of money.
My brother he became an electrician, but I think the thing that you're doing the right thing is you're still going for training and that so you can specialize and you can learn more. So really, you are furthering your education, which I think is great. What are you doing?
I don't know. I have too many ideas. I think I'm just gonna keep going to school till I figure it out. Cause yeah.
Well, what is it that if you could choose one thing? When I always talk to students who are thinking about what they want to do for college and everything, it's good to get someone to enroll in your school and everything, but the most important thing is you want someone to be successful. You want someone to really love what they're doing because it doesn't make sense to go enroll in school and then you drop out and you don't finish, then you're left with debt, you don't have a future, it doesn't look good for a college either. So when a college accepts a student, we want to make sure it's a good fit, that you're gonna feel comfortable in the school, you're gonna like the professors, and it's gonna be a good match. So when I talk to students, especially students that don't know what they want to do, which really, I'm still thinking. There's days I'm thinking, what is it that I want to do? It wasn't that long ago where I had a transition in my job. I remember before I used to work at this other company called Rally Cap, and I'm like, okay, I gotta go find something else. So, but in the end, you had to think, what is it that you really love to do? So like, what are some things, if you can choose anything, like, what do you love to do?
Music production.
You like music, okay, so maybe you wanna do something in that business, right? And sometimes people say, oh, that's just far-fetched, and you don't wanna do that. But, maybe it could be a dream that you can try to fulfill. I remember when I was a student and when I was in high school, my guidance counselor, was just like, I told him, I'm like, I want to go to become a buyer. I'm like, I love shopping. Have you guys heard my story about this before? I could go like to Savers or Marshalls, whatever. I could go in the store and shop there for like 2.5 hours, hands down, without blinking an eye. And my guidance counselor would be like, yeah, you don't want to do that. That's not. You're going to be shopping. You're going to be working weekends and holidays. You don't want to do that. But when I look back, I think I probably would have been successful in that field because it's a lot of sales. It's a lot of doing fashion merchandising. It could be a lot of traveling. And those are all things in my personality that I like. So you gotta think about yourself and your personality. I mean, do you like working with people? Do you like working behind a desk? Do you like working with your hands? You know, like that. I mean, can you imagine yourself behind a desk all day?
Never.
No. See, I couldn't imagine myself behind a desk all day. I like to do part of that, but not the entire time. I have to have my hands in all different types of areas. But the one thing is for certain is I like to work with people and having that connection and talking to people. So when I started thinking about a career, I'm like, okay, I'll do something in communication. Yeah, sounds good. At first I thought I was gonna do like public relations, but I quickly learned that it's gonna be writing all the time, but I still wanna do something in the field where I'm talking with people, but there's so many different avenues you can do with that. So, I think the first start about thinking about college is really looking at who you are and what you really like to do, because there's so many different majors out there. And then how do you make sure that a major is right for you? I think you have to do a lot of research. You gotta not just look on the computers, because that can be kind of boring, that type of research. Do you guys like to research careers on computers? I don't know.
No.
I rather,
I
you
don't
do?
mind,
Okay.
but-
See, I would rather go talk to someone in the field. You know, I remember when I was thinking about doing college admission, after I left my field of public relations, I'm like, you know, what do I do? So I set up these, what it was called informational interviews. So I went and talked to someone in the field. It was a director of admission. I'm like, well, what is admission all about? What do you do? And they're like, oh, well, you're gonna be traveling. You're gonna go to high schools. You're gonna talk to guidance counselors and students. I'm like, oh, that sounds great. And they're like, oh, you may plan events, open houses, and events. I'm like, oh, that's even better, right? And everything that they were telling me was just like click, 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 click. And like, it felt really good. So the more research you do in the field is gonna be good for you. And when you talk with people, I mean, what a way, I mean, someone would be flattered, you know, if you went to them and asked them, you know, about what they do. I mean, you wanna learn more about that. My daughter likes math, okay? She's thinking accounting, and I'm like, you know, why don't you go talk to an accountant? I want her to go talk to an accountant. Or maybe she's thinking actuary. Actuary is someone that studies risk involved, especially insurance companies. So I want her to
They
go,
study what, risk?
like risk, you know, how much risk involved with different things.
Okay.
So the more research you do, the better. So like you were thinking you want to do psychology, right? So, you know, you should really go and talk to a psychologist. Ask, how did you get into that field? What school did you go to? Is there anything that you wish you had done differently, right? What classes do you think would benefit you the most taking, you know, becoming a psychologist, right? So these are some questions that you want to ask. And even like criminal justice, you want to go shadow, you know, what area, there's so many different branches of criminal justice. Do you want to be a probation officer? Do you want to be a detective? Do you want to do homeland security? So these are, you got to go start talking to a lot of people and try to figure out what avenue that you want to do. Now, I didn't ask you, what is it that you were thinking about doing?
Carpentry.
Carpentry. So you like working with your hands, right? Awesome. Very, very good. So when you're thinking about colleges, okay, you're trying to figure out what area you want to go to. So at this point, you're trying to figure out, okay, trying to get an idea what I want to study. And it's okay to be undecided. The first year is pretty much general anyhow. So especially if you don't know exactly what you want to do, it's a junior or senior, even as a sophomore, you can start researching. What you want to start doing is looking at a size of school. Do you want to go to a big school? Do you want to go to a medium-sized school? Do you want to go to a small school? So what you want to do is start going, if you have so many campuses there, you can start going visiting some of the schools. They have open houses. If you just go there on the weekend, even call ahead, say, hey, I want to go check out your school, can I have a tour? They'd probably be like, right? So you want to go and look at the size of the school, and then you got to think about the location. That's the number two thing. Where do you want to go? Do you want to stay in Connecticut? How many of you guys here want to stay in Connecticut?
Maybe for a little bit,
Yeah.
and then I'm gonna leave.
Where do you want to go?
Oh no, yeah.
You want out?
Oh yeah, I want.
I'm out of here, right? Okay. Do you want like California that far, or more like Florida, or,
Yeah, like
or more like Pennsylvania or New York?
Yeah, like New York, Pennsylvania.
Okay, so not too far. You know, far enough where like, cool, so you can come back if you want on the weekend. So I think the size, the location is really important, your major, those are all huge factors. Now, when you're looking at a school, what I'd recommend is go sit in the class. A lot of different schools, you can go shadowing classes. I know like we have some classes on the weekends even. So if you want to go and sit in, say, like an OTA class, occupational therapy, we have occupational therapy classes on the weekends. Go sit in the class. And I always kind of compare it, I know it's kind of crazy, but compare it to like buying a car. Because if you're gonna buy a car, how many of you guys would buy a car without test driving it? No, you're gonna test drive a car, right? So you're gonna look at the engine, even if you know nothing about the engine, you're gonna look at the tires, right? You'll look at everything because you know everything about cars, right? So the same thing goes, when you think about your education, not only is it a huge investment, because a car is an investment, right? But when you think about your college education, it's just the monetary investment, but it's also your time involved with that. So you got to make sure it's going to fit you guys. You know, is it going to be worth your time and the investment? So you really got to research. Okay. Talk to the faculty. Talk to the students. Students tell it like it is. What are you guys all giggly over here doing?
Could I just add something to
Sure.
that when you said shadow a class?
Yep.
So I just wanted to add that I went to a really big college in New Hampshire, and my classes, which I didn't know going in, they had about
What was the name of the
400.
college?
University of New Hampshire.
Mm-hmm.
So they had about 400 to 500 people in each class.
In one class.
In one class, so like you come in and it would be like a stadium almost. So obviously my teachers didn't know who I was. If I never went, they would never know that. So it was my responsibility to go to class, and
No
I had to-
attendance.
no attendance ever, and you would have like a test and an essay, and that's it. So I had to myself be responsible for that. If you know you couldn't do that, you got to go to a smaller school with smaller classes. For me, it worked out okay because I was able to motivate myself to do that. But if you know you need someone on you,
Damn, that's
Then
crazy. That's
you
crazy.
gotta think about that. Yeah, you gotta
You
think
have to be very, very independent. I went to
Question, yo.
I went to a smaller school first, and then I transferred to a big university. But when I look back, for me, my learning style is I do better in a smaller class because I think if I have questions, I know I can go to the faculty. At a big school, you can't. When you're in a class of 200 students, you're not going to be able to go to your professor and ask questions. They may have people assisting in the class. They're called a TA. That's like a teaching assistant, right? So you might be able to go to your TA and ask questions, but even with that, they have very limited office hours. So you have to be very, very independent, very self-motivated. I would get distracted. I'd be like, if I could sleep like, oh my God, I'll put my snooze on like 10 times. And I'm like, oh, I'll just skip this class. And that's not good. You can't do that, right? You can't. Because then you miss out on the material, you cram things in, you're not going to be successful. You have to attend the classes. So at a smaller school, they're going to be on top of you guys more. I mean, if you're in a class with 12 students and you're not there, your teacher's going to know, okay? It's not going to look good for you, okay? So you got to figure out which environment is going to be best for you, okay? So I think that kind of, is there anything else you think we should cover as far as looking, as far as the search for the school? I think you guys should take advantage of any open house. Start now. There's college fairs going on. Actually, this weekend in Springfield, if you guys feel like taking a little jolt up 91 North, there's going to be the Springfield National College Fair. It's going on Sunday. You can just walk around and just talk to, you know.
A lot of schools can set you up overnight with someone too, to stay in your dorm room with them, so you can see what that's like to stay in a dorm and.
I did that in Bay Path.
Yeah.
It's
How'd you
a
like
good
that?
choice, too.
Wait, what do they do?
Like it was, I don't know.
You just
it
have a
was weird.
sleepover?
Yeah.
They'll take you
They
to
live like
classes
two-
with them. and
Yeah.
stuff,
Oh,
So you can see
okay.
what it's like.
And see what it's like to live in a dorm, it's very different.
Yeah, and all kind of dorms different. I know like Bay Path, because I used to work at Bay Path. They have like the regular dorms in the hall. You share a bathroom. The housing is different all over. They have some like co-ed floors, right? At Lincoln, we're different too. We don't have dorms like that. We have more like apartment suites. So you have upstairs and downstairs. There's like 3 bedrooms in an apartment. You have your own little kitchenette. You have your own living room, but you're still in a
I
meal
like
plate.
that better though.
So
Yeah, me too.
you got to figure out what you like. So that's why it's good to go and research, see what you're getting into. Now, if it's okay, I'd like to tell you you guys a little bit about the application process. So each school can be different. I can share with you what I know about Lincoln.
Lincoln Tech?
Yeah,
Or
We're
Lincoln
we're
Park?
Lincoln College in Southington, so it's a small school by 800 students. They have associate's degree, a bachelor's degree, that's a 2 and a 4 year degree. So our classes here are about 12 students, so it's a lot smaller. But when you go do the application, every school is a little different. Some schools I worked for, they require the SATs or the ACTs. They look at your transcripts. Some schools don't look at the GPA that your school gives you. What they do is they go through your entire transcript and they look at certain classes. They don't factor your GPA like gym or art or music or business or computers. They look at your core classes and then they recompute your entire GPA. Okay, not all schools do that. The school I'm at now, we don't do that. We look at your GPA and we look at whatever is the highest GPA that the school gives you. So some GPAs are weighted, some GPAs are unweighted. Do you guys know what that means? Okay. A weighted GPA, if you take a higher level, they can give you a higher points to that grade, right? If it's unweighted, is that, I think that's how,
That's correct, but here we don't have.
you don't have that.
Weighted.
So, and then some schools don't require SATs. We don't require SATs or ACTs. You just come with your transcript and we look at it, you basically get accepted. But if you submit your SATs, it can give you a merit scholarship. A merit scholarship is a scholarship that's based on grades. But it all depends on which school that you're looking for. So when you go around looking at colleges, you got questions you got to ask. You got to ask them, what kind of GPA are you looking for? Do you require the SATs or the ACTs? Do you require an essay? Some schools require essays that you have to write. Would it help you if you have a guidance recommendation? Sometimes it looks good for you to have a guidance recommendation or a teacher recommendation. Some schools don't require that. So you got to find out what's going to help you get into that college, okay? I know at some of the bigger schools, especially these big name schools, if you have an alum recommendation, you could be, or maybe you're a legacy student. A legacy student is someone who has lots of family members that had attended that school. That can make a difference. At one college I worked at, if they had an alum recommendation, we would take a second look at that student. If they had been to school, we would track every time someone had been to that college. If they did an overnight, if they did an open house, if they had 2 interviews, they really want to go, I would give them a second look. And so it's all different. At one school that I worked at, we would take their applications, I would recompute their entire GPA, I would read their essay, I would basically grade their essay, on a scale, I think it was like 1 to 4, you give it a grade, how well it's written, and that factors in to how much you get accepted. What's your grading like? Is it between a certain scale? How is your essay? Is that between a certain area? Your SATs, did that fall between a certain, score range? And everything adds up, and then we decide if you're accepted. If you're on the cusp of getting accepted, then we would take your application, and I would bring your application into a committee meeting, and we would go out to bat for our students. And I would say, this is why my student needs to be accepted, so we would have a good rapport with our students.
We have to start wrapping up.
Okay.
Sorry.
So, I'm trying to think, what else can I answer? Any questions that I have, any questions I can answer for you guys?
Wait, what school do you?
What do I work at?
Yeah.
I work at Lincoln. We're different.
It's not
Where is
Lincoln
it?
Tech, it's
No, Lincoln College, we're inside, right down the road from the lake compounds. So we're a small school, class size is about 12. We don't look at SATs, we don't require an essay. You basically give me your transcript, and you're pretty much, as long as you graduate, you pretty much get in. But it's good, it's a small school, we have more hands-on and tutoring, so.
Thank you so much
Okay.
for coming.
I hope that answered questions for you guys.
It did.
Okay.
Sounds good.